Welcome, everybody. This is a council meeting for the municipality of the County of Annapolis. I'll start with the roll call. District 1.
Bruce Prout.
District 2.
Ryan Fuzzy Connell.
District 3. Alan Parrish. District 4.
Floyd Berto.
District 5.
Lynn Mulner.
District 6.
Alec Morrison.
District 7.
David Hudson.
District 8.
Michael Gunn.
District 9. Wendy Sheridan indicated she won't be here today. She's asked to be excused, and after I finish the roll call, I'll just take care of that formality. District 10.
Brad Redden.
District 11.
Diane Leblanc.
I have a motion to excuse Councillor Sheridan from the meeting, moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Now, today is a special day. Today we are going to recognize our volunteers. So I'm going to move over to the podium. David, do we have a camera over here when people come up? Yeah, is Mr. Kerr going to come up here?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever you like.
So I will start off by simply welcoming everybody here today. Today's the day that we recognize our Annapolis County volunteers. I have some written remarks that I will express in formal greetings later. So the first item on the agenda is to introduce our Member of Parliament, Mr. Chris D'Entremont, who's going to bring greetings on the screen.
Hi everyone, Chris D'Entremont here, your Member of Parliament for West Nova. Although I cannot be with you today, I wanted to take this moment to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to all of you, the incredible volunteers of the County of Annapolis, for your dedication to the community. The past 2 years have undoubtedly been difficult and very challenging due to the pandemic. But rain or shine, you have all consistently stepped up and dedicated so much of your time to support those and the various needs throughout the community. Being a volunteer is certainly a demanding task, and you often don't receive the recognition that you deserve. But I want you to know that you are at the heart of our community, and your hard work never goes unnoticed. Your passion, devotion, energy, and spirit of volunteerism are truly inspirational to all of us and continue to make a huge difference in the daily lives of folks in the community. On behalf of my family and entire team, congratulations and thank you once again for your hard work, commitment, and generosity.
Thank you, Mr. D'Entremont. Next, our member of the Legislative Assembly, Carmen Kerr, is here to bring greetings. Carmen, would you like to come up? Sure.
Thank you, Warden. Thanks to everyone for having me today. And, we're here to celebrate the amazing work of all of you as volunteers, and especially those that have gone above and beyond in 2022. You continue to fundraise and fight for your causes and your communities. You continue to show up. You give a significant amount of time away from things that you love to do and from families that love you, so we appreciate that. We thank your families for lending you to us. My family and I, we've been volunteers, but I've certainly gained an enhanced appreciation for volunteers in my role as MLA. Government has a wide range of programs and services that we offer, but there are always gaps and challenges that we can't get to, and that's where you once again rise to the occasion. We have volunteers in this room that I'm seeing that recruit healthcare professionals, that tackle housing, they fundraise for our food banks. We have others that knit hats for those that are cold throughout the winter, those that respond to fires and motor vehicle accidents. And in our own office, we had one volunteer that did 240 free tax returns, and she's still doing them. She said, we call her now on a case-by-case basis, but she said, sure, bring them over, we'll take a look at it. So very appreciative of all that work. volunteers are stepping up all over our county, and it's great to see so many of you here today. So thank you once again. Thank you to those that support you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Carmen. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alan Parrish. I'm the warden here. And I have some prepared remarks, so if you'll allow me, I'm going to read them out because I wanted to make sure I got everything in that I wanted to say. The County of Annapolis has been celebrating volunteers for over 40 years, allowing us the opportunity to honor those who go above and beyond for their community. Today, we are here to recognize 11 such outstanding individuals. People choose to volunteer for all kinds of reasons. Young people often volunteer to gain valuable work experience. Retirees often volunteer to create structure and meaning and social stimulation in their lives. New community members find volunteering a way to create new social networks. One thing, however, they all share in common is their willingness to selflessly offer their time and energy and talent to improve the lives of others. I believe that most volunteers would agree that to volunteer is to both give and to receive. On behalf of Municipal Council and staff, I would like to say thank you for making such a commitment to your community. I also wish to acknowledge those who nominated a volunteer from their organization or community. It is your participation and interest that allows us the opportunity to recognize our volunteers. To you, a generous thank you as well. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the support volunteers receive from their partners and families. Your understanding and patience make it so much easier for the volunteer to devote countless hours to their cause of choice. Thank you for your generosity and recognizing the important role you play in volunteerism. Once again, to our honored volunteers, thank you for all you do for our community and for Annapolis County. Now we have a few mementos of the recognition that Mr. Kerr and I are going to provide over here at the far side in front of the flags. There's a recognition award from the county. There's also one from the federal government that will be attached to the one from the county because, as you can see, Mr. D'Entremont's not here today. And Mr. Kerr will provide you with an acknowledgement from the province. So with no further ado, I will see if I can make my way through the chairs over here to the other side, and we will proceed to provide the certificates.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nadine Bardo. I am the Communications and Special Projects Officer for the County of Annapolis. I have spoke with many of you via email, so it's very nice to see you in person. And on behalf of myself, I would like to say thank you for all you do, because you really do keep the wheels spinning for the county, especially in the very difficult times of the pandemic. So thank you. I would first like to ask Julia Archer to come forward to our warden and MLA, Mr. Kerr. Julie was nominated by Clemens-Port Legion. Each volunteer has an extensive bio. I'd encourage everyone to go to our website, Annapolis County, and please read these bios. In the sake of time, I'm unable to read all of them, but please visit our website. It's extraordinary what these individuals do. And Deb, as you can see, will be taking pictures. Our next volunteer is Linda Balzer, who is nominated by Middleton Lions Club, but also selected as our provincial Annapolis County representative, and she will be recognized in the fall at a ceremony in Halifax. At this time, while she's receiving her award, I would like to take the opportunity to thank a very special committee called the Annapolis County Selection Committee. It was made up of Councillor Lohmeyer, Councillor Redden, community member Andy Kerr, and a staff member, Brian Ward. They have the very difficult task of going through the selection of, it's a numerical, it's very good, very good. Congratulations, Linda. Our next nominee was Mr. Boats. Unfortunately, he could not be here with us today, so I will make sure that he gets his certificate and thank you from the county. He was nominated by Our next volunteers are Mr. and Mrs. Charles and Dorothy Butler. They were nominated by the Clemensport Legion.
Congratulations, sir. I'll hold this for you while you take the picture, and then I'll get it to you.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure you're all in it. Are you smiling? Thank you.
Next, our volunteer is Banji Kress. Banji passed away in 2021, but I know many of you are familiar with her and her husband Clinton. They left a timeless mark on Round Hill with all the community work they did. Cindy, their daughter, is here to present this certificate on their behalf. Our next volunteer is Anne. I apologize if I say your name incorrectly. Anne Crowell?
Crowell.
Crowell. Oh, so close. Anne was nominated by the Annapolis Valley Health Authority.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hold this one. Hold that one.
You tell me what to do. There you go.
30 years modeling, so get in close. Thank you.
Our next volunteer is Diane McDonald, also nominated by the Annapolis Valley Health Authority.
And just for clarification, it's the Annapolis Community Health Board that nominated us through
Oh.
Nova Scotia Health.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because that's good to know. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of this.
Now, our next volunteer is a very familiar face around here at the county office, and his name is well known. It is Mr. Alec Morrison, who is nominated by Clemensport.
Congratulations, Anne.
Does it come with a smile?
Thank you.
Next, we have
Good job.
Donnie Broom, also nominated by the Clementsport Legion.
Congratulations. I'll hold that. I'll hold this other one. There's that. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, because this was done alphabetically, I promise, it's Nigel Wallace, who was nominated by the King's Theatre Society. And the warden is going to come back over just to conclude this event. I'd like to point out there's muffins and coffee out in the lobby. Please feel free to have some. And also Deb has offered to take a group photo outside. If you like, that would be wonderful. We'd love to see our groups.
Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you.
That ends the award portion of our meeting this morning. You're welcome to stay if you want, but there's no need to. Nadine, thank you, Carmen. You can stay and watch our exciting meeting.
What was that last one? Good to see you.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Donnie. Always thank you for your service.
Nice to see you.
It's still pretty vital and still pretty important to that organization.
Oh, yeah, we can understand he's gone for a picture, I presume?
Yeah.
So, should we wait or take a break?
Yeah, no, I really don't want to start without Alex, so we'll take a 5-minute break and I'll just go and after a short recess this morning. The next item on the agenda is disclosure of interest. And Councillor Bartow, you declared an interest at the Committee of the Whole with respect to the Michelle grant. I assume you'll do the same.
I don't think we'll change anything but for.
Okay, so you'll do the same today?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Next is the approval of the agenda. There's a few little changes here. So there's going to be an item under new business, which will be 8.0. And I got a little dig yesterday from Councillor Redden. We had a meeting last night with we being the Fire Services Committee. and the Fire Services Association, and it was suggested we have a simple motion on the agenda to authorize the Fire Services Committee to proceed to meet with the Fire Services Association, which appears to be necessary. So that's all we're going to do. There's just going to be a motion that the Municipal Council refers to the Fire Services Committee all the matters discussed last night. So if that's agreeable, we'll make that number 8. And as I said, Councillor Redden said he'd have to get it past the warden this morning to put a late matter on the agenda. And I said we could probably handle that. Number 9 will be an in-camera. We're going to have an in-camera meeting dealing with a personnel matter. So that means the adjournment becomes number 10. Is there anything else with respect to the agenda, councilors? If not, I'll ask for a motion approving the agenda as amended. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Longmire. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Next is the adoption of the minutes from May 17th.
Move to approve the
Moved to approve by
circulated.
the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Redden. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. There's no business arising from the minutes. We'll move to the councillor comments. District 1.
Thank you. I'll start by saying happy summer. We rolled in this morning shortly after 6. And I think we might get a little warmth coming soon from that after the last couple of days. It's been a very busy time in District 1 since the last meeting. Fresh strawberries have been on the market, in my area, and I'm sure in others, for about a week and a half now. And I would encourage everybody to get out, as hopefully the summer warmth brings forward a lot more in the terms of a harvest from our local farmers and producers. Get out and support them as much as we can. I'd also like to congratulate Tim Brown and his staff, who celebrated the official opening of their new building, which is located at 14857 on Highway number 1 in Wilmot. That was last Saturday. A lot of people attended, and congratulations to them. It's been a busy month for all council, I know that. I know in addition to the TCTS monthly meeting, the Wilmot and the Area Neighborhood Watch, I, along with most of council, I know we met at a number. I know I was at 6 of the county meetings, and some of you were at more of them than I was. So a busy month altogether, and summer's on its way. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2.
Good morning, Warden and councilors. The temperature is coming up. It's been a nice spring so far and coming into summer. Some of the communities have, community halls and event organizers have been busy in my area. There's plans for a supper at the Port George Hall, and I'll give the date on that next month. And Margaret's Days is coming up next month too, so I'll give a report on that. It's very hard to, all the volunteer groups are hitting everyone for fundraisers, and I know that even as a councillor, I've been asked to set in a bail in jail for the McDonald Museum, and so I'm on the hunt to try to secure that fact I will do it, and I like to line up a little bit of the funding first, because each participant's got to raise $1,000 to get out. So I definitely can't stay there all day. So I'm hot on the trail. So it's good to see that things are coming back to some form of normal. There was a car show at the museum in Middleton this past weekend, and very well attended to, and nice to get out and hear the people express their concerns and feelings that, wow, it seems like things are coming back a little bit to a normal state, and so I'm looking forward to the summer.
Thank you. District 3, coming up in, I think it's early July, first week in July, is the Hampton Lobster Supper, which my wife and I have attended pretty well every year since it started, and it's a wonderful event. It's on the wharf at Hampton. My wife and I usually bring a little table, and so long as we're not breaching any provincial bylaws, we bring a bottle of wine along to the event and set up a table, and they serve lobster to everybody. And so I encourage you to contact the people that sell the tickets. You can get them at the Pharmasave in Bridgetown if they're not already gone, because it's an event that's usually sold out. I should mention as well that there's a Mexican restaurant that's opened on Granville Street in Bridgetown, right beside the old town hall there. I took the opportunity to enjoy the food prepared there, and if you like burritos and tacos and the usual Mexican fare, that's the place to go. The farmers have completed their first cut in Clarence, and summer seems to be proceeding pretty well. It's been pretty dry actually this spring, but things are coming along. And I should note that the Clarence County Market opened last Sunday, and it's open every Sunday from now till Thanksgiving. So I'll move to District 4.
Thank you, Woody. It's been a busy time since our May meeting. I've done on the EAC, which is the Environmental Advisory Committee, which is early in the spring I was asked by CAO if I would sit on it. It was canceled for May, but it will be back on this Wednesday. I've been to 2 prior meetings so far and intend to continue to prepare for now. This committee meets monthly in the municipality of Annapolis Royal Boardroom. This is not a municipality of Annapolis County committee, and it is hosted by the neighboring municipality. There was an unveiling of a plaque for a historical designation of Easton House in Lakeel Saturday, June 18th, of which I would have attended, but I was out of the area at the time. This presentation, this represents a wonderful example of unaltered architecture for the area and the era. I attended 8 out of 11 of the public meetings for the municipal countywide planning rollout to gather input from concerned residents. This was held during a 2-week period in May. This open process will continue, and I hope to see a huge turnout of residents for the next sessions. I also attended the PAC Planning Advisory Committee meeting for the town of Bridgetown for the proposed rezoning of the elementary school properties. I have followed through on numerous constituent issues regarding streetlights, sewer, and other planning issues. I will further pursue the solar initiative potential project that I previously brought before council in the spring. This has gone before the Economic Development Committee and has been referred back to staff to follow up. I attended a strategic planning meeting in Bridgetown. I attended other meetings, including Economic Development Committee, several other special meetings of council. I was pleased to attend the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference, along with Council Longmire. And with the exception of having a positive COVID test upon my return, it was a great learning experience in Regina. We will present more at a later date. It's strawberry time. I hope we are all enjoying shortcake and other products from local farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 5.
Greetings from District 5. I would just like to start by recognizing that June is National Indigenous History Month, and this today is the National Indigenous Peoples Day. June is certainly a very busy and exciting month as schools start to wind down and students get excited about summer. Our graduates are also beginning to make their way to conclude their high school journey. Proms and special events are upon us all. It is a very exciting time, wonderful for families and friends to enjoy. Wishing our students a very safe and wonderful summer. Earlier this month, I was able to attend the FCM in Regina alongside fellow councillor Clyde Barlow. This event was nothing shy of exciting, filled with tons of energy, lots of new ideas. We were able to come together in person with hundreds of councillors, CAOs, wardens, and mayors from across Canada. We made some amazing connections, and these memories will live on. The theme was Together for Recovery, as we need to. And although the conference was still offered hybrid as well, so others could attend who were not able to be there in person. On a personal note, I have had 2 graduations myself this month. My daughter from McGill University in Montreal, and she will head off into law this coming September, and my son, who finished basic training in Saint-Jean and is now settled in Borden. And so I, as well as a parent and counselor, recognize this tremendous time for them. Father's Day has just passed us this past weekend, and so for all fathers, dads, and all those who step into that role, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. July 1st is upon us as well, and Canada Day, a very special time. As I end this, the Lower Granville Hall in Port Royal is offering a Rhubarb Stalks at Twilight murder mystery written by Simon Boddington. And that will be held on Friday, July 22nd and July 23rd, so the Friday and Saturday. The dinner theater is extraordinary. I encourage anyone to come on out and purchase those tickets. They are $30 and they are available at the Red Onion Market in Annapolis. The meal I won't go into, but it sounds absolutely divine, and there is a cash bar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 6.
Thank you. I participated in a book sale at Upper Clements Hall, and I didn't sell the number of books I thought I would, so I'm putting you all on notice. I'm going to be extra sure I inform you when the next book sale is. The Wednesday market at the Deep Brook Waldeck Lions Club continues from 3 to 6 and is ever expanding. It really is worth a drop in. Of course, the Cornwallis Park Community Association and the Clements Port branch of the Royal Canadian Legion will be celebrating Canada Day with activities taking place at each location. 7 p.m. Friday, July the 8th is the regular meeting of the Cornwallis Park Community Association, and all residents of Cornwallis Park and surrounding areas are invited to attend. There is a regular flea market at the Deep Brook Church Hall, and I go there of a Saturday morning, and there are usually 8 or 10 people around, and we sit and we exchange stories, some of which have actually proven to be true. This market is organized and conducted by Wayne Isles of Clementsport. He's the mastermind and the master worker, strongly supported by his wife Linda, who also provides very good muffins. There is no way that you can exaggerate the good these 2 people do. They are constantly being offered truckloads of furniture and appliances and accoutrements. Of course, they're all for sale, but I would venture to say from experience that a great part of what they do is to give furniture and appliances to those who need them. And it's not only in Annapolis County, but it's in Digby County, it's in Kings County, and sometimes it's beyond. It's a joy to behold, to stand back and watch, of course, people coming in and purchasing items, but the people who come in who really, really need consideration, and they get it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 7.
Thank you very much. I just have a few very brief comments. Firstly, I guess it's summer. Everyone, I think, just putting in their little vegetable gardens. On a personal note, I guess I got mine in this week and waiting for it to grow and yield some fresh vegetables for the table. I would also like to mention the Bridgetown Centennial Pool is opening the 1st of July. Swimming lessons will be offered every weekday morning, and there will be public swims both in the afternoons and in the evenings. There will also be public swims Saturday and Sunday afternoons. There are other programs and stuff that are being looked at and being developed, such as Aquasize, and it is hopeful that the swim team, which was always a big thing at the Bridgetown Centennial Pool, that will be reactivated. There was a time when the team was very, very large, was made up of 50-odd youths, and it's not like it's going to be expected that it would ever come back to that, but hopefully they can revitalize it. Other than that, I just want to mention that Queen Street, I ride my bike around town pretty well daily. It seems to be progressing very well from an uneducated eye. And really, I haven't received any feedback as to, there hasn't been any disruptions. And so I think that the way they're doing that is a very positive and a positive way of proceeding with that work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. District 8.
Thank you. District 8, June 21st, 22. Happy National Indigenous Peoples Day to all, and happy summer solstice. I imagine many have spent a lot of time in the garden, as I have, and I wish you all a very bountiful garden season. This month I've heard from citizens opposing the vaccination policy and others looking for affordable housing in the area. I was fortunate to be able to attend most of the county-wide zoning and planning review meetings. Found a few similarities in each district. For example, everyone is very concerned that they should be able to farm and garden on their own property, whether it's small or large, to produce their own food. I encourage people to attend the next round of meetings in the near future, so stay tuned for details. There will be a fundraiser for the Bear River Fire Department on Thursday, June 23rd at the Foresters Hall in Clemensville. It will include a live auction, live music. If anyone is interested in signing out a canoe or a kayak at Raven Haven, they need to call into the main office to book a time. The 129th Cherry Carnival is coming to Bear River on July 16th, and it promises to be another excellent day of events, and of course the parade and the famous grease pole. Please join us if you can. And I'd like to just take a second to mention, as Councillor Morrison did, Wayne and Linda in Deep Brook. The good they do and the people they give to, it's astounding. If there's somebody hard done by fire, just moving to the area, getting away, they need furniture, fridge, stoves, or anything. If they go there, they'll give it to them, if need be, or they'll take what they can afford. It's an awfully good pair of people there, and I just can't say enough about what good they do in the community. And as well, if you've got a bunch of yard sale stuff, as I did last year, that didn't sell, we just called Wade, and he came and cleaned it all up and turned around, sold it, and gave it away, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you say that's on a Saturday morning, this market in Deep Brook?
Saturday all day.
Saturday all day, okay. District 10?
Village of Lawrencetown is having a Canada Day celebration at the Lawrencetown Volunteer Fire Hall, 1 to 3 p.m. and they invite everybody to a free swim afterwards at the Lawrencetown pool from 3 to 5. And I've also been approached by the McDonald Museum, as Councillor Connell has, and I just wanted to add, along with his comments, that you can also make donations to keep people in jail.
You never mentioned that.
Maybe a long day there.
Thank you. District 11.
Thank you. Yes, today is National Indigenous Peoples Day. So they are celebrating the culture, the contributions of the Indigenous people in our whole country. I'd like to say thank you for the continuing contributions that they make for our community and around the world. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the fact that our Three Rivers Community Center has had a very good turnout for their supper. So they're on the move again to preparing suppers and trying to make a little bit of money for the community center to do upgrades and such. And I'm happy to see that we're opening up a little bit more and people feel more free to go and enjoy these different celebrations. Amongst everybody else, I did the county-wide planning sessions and PAC and Teens Transit, etc. And we're going to continue on the planning as we go along. As far as this month, I find it exhilarating because it's the month of June and it's grad month and people are all excited and the kids are jumping around and they have exams, so it doesn't matter because they know they're at the end and they're ready to graduate. It's a celebration for entire families, from the young to the different levels throughout to the oldest person in your family. Because you're going to see a difference in your household, but you're going to also appreciate the fact that they are stepping into a new adventure. And everybody hold on, because you don't know what's going to happen. So I'm congratulating all the families and all the graduates, and have a great adventure. Last but not least, I also have been asked to go to that jail in Vail at McDonald. It's a scary thing. Why do I have to be put in jail when I'm trying to be good? And to maybe think of people paying more to keep me in. See, I pay more to keep you in too. So I'm not quite sure. I do have another event that day that I have to go to, so I'm not quite sure which way I'm leaning to. Am I going or am I not? Have I escaped jail all these years? Am I going to try this and go in jail? I don't know. And then I'd have to deal with 2 other counselors. And they're bad, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. They might just associate me with them and keep me in there too. It will be an all great fun, and I wish them all the best to raise all the money that they need for the McDonald Museum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Warden.
Thank you. May I mention one more thing?
Sure.
Here, and it's not in my district, but I was coming down through the valley from Middleton yesterday, and I was driving through Paradise. And I don't know who these 2 ladies were, but and who they represent, but they were watering the flowers on the poles and the wonderful baskets they've got in the poles. Well, here were these 2 ladies going along, one driving the big lawn tractor, and the other on the back on the wagon with the watering buckets, and stopping at each pull and watering the flowers. Now, I know these ladies probably don't get paid for this at all, and that's just, it just shouts out to me how great some communities are. Thank you.
Here, I thought you were going to volunteer for jail and jail.
Mr. Warden?
Yes, Councilor Pratt.
If I may follow in the Deputy Warden's footsteps, my memory's not as well. I write things down, but then I think I can remember it all. I'd just like to say that at the Melbourne Square Community Centre, we'll be celebrating Canada Day. First time in a couple of years during COVID. There'll be a soap slide, parade, a flag raising, and hot dogs, and a few other things. It's a work in progress. So I just wanted to get that in. My memory's not what it once was. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a lot of great news, I have to say. June is a good month. Wonderful reports from all of you. There's a real sense of excitement, the summer coming, and it seemed to be a long winter, so that's great. So, where are we? Committee and organizational reports. We have a number of committee of the whole motions here, so let's start that.
7.1?
Yeah.
Committee of the Whole, June 14, 2022, Governance and Boundaries Public Consultation. That municipal council consult the public regarding the governance and boundary input by 1. Initiating an online survey throughout the summer regarding governance and boundaries, and 2. Circulate the same information in a local publication in early September, adding an inbound telephone number to complete the survey, and 3. Mailing the same information to all Annapolis County addresses in mid-September, guiding the public to the online and inbound telephone number to complete the survey, and 4. 11 in-person meetings, 1 in each district, in order that the municipal council can make a decision on governance and prepare a submission to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board regarding boundaries, and that a municipal council submit an application for extension to December 31st, 2022 deadline to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board in order to accommodate the addition of 11 in-person meetings pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Second. Councilor Longmire seconds. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.2, AM-6.6.6.6, Sign Authorities Policy Amend. That municipal council amend AM-6.6.6, Signing Authorities Policy, by adding in a subsection 5(2)F, Manager of Finance, in accordance with 7-day notice at the community, given at Committee of the Whole.
Seconder, Councilor Hudson seconds. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.3, Municipal Building Official and Municipal Fire Inspector. Appoint Aaron Skirman Club. I hope I have that right. That municipal council appoint Aaron Skirman Club as building official and fire inspector for the municipality of the County of Annapolis, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councilor LeBlanc. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.4, Municipal Building Official and Municipal Fire Inspector, appoint Andrew Dobson. That municipal council appoint Andrew Dobson as Building Official and Fire Inspector for the municipality of the County of Annapolis in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a second for that? Councillor LeBlanc seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7.5. AM-6.1.1, Progress Payments Policy, Eagle Telecom, repeal. That Municipal Council repeal AM-6.1.1, Progress Payments Policy, Eagle Telecom, pursuant to 7-day notice given at Committee of the Whole.
Second. Councillor Craig seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.6, Bridgetown School Trust, release of funds. That Municipal Council approve a payout from the school trust bank account per fund directives. $4,645 for student prizes. $920 for programs as per fund directives. And $2,800 to educational institutions upon request of scholarship award recipients in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Second by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.7, AM-1.8.1, Travel and Expenses Amend. That effective upon approval, Municipal Council amend AM-1.8.1, Travel and Expenses Policy by increasing the kilometric and meal allowances as circulated, pursuant to 7-day notice given at Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.8, Moshel Hall Society Grant Application.
Deputy Warden, Councillor Bartow has declared a conflict, so I'll ask him to leave the room. And we'll call him back once the matter's completed. Go ahead.
7.8, Moshel Hall Society Grant Application. That Municipal Council approve a grant in the amount of $2,400 to the Moshel Community Hall Society in accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy 2022-23 Community Halls and Centers Assistance Program in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
7.9, 2022-23 Community Grants. That Municipal Council approve the 2022-23 grant allocations as presented, except the Moshel Hall Society grant application, which was dealt with under a separate motion. In accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Is there a second for that? Councillor Connell seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.10, response to NSFM survey. That Municipal Council establish an ad hoc committee composed of 2 members of council and 2 members of staff to prepare draft replies to the survey for review at the July 12th Committee of the Whole in accordance with recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Second. Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. I and Councillor Redden are members of the committee, as are David Dick and Don Campbell. And we met yesterday, the 20th of June, for over 2 hours, had very good discussions, and we will have a report for the July Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to you and Councillor Redden for volunteering to be on that committee. Any further comments?
Could I get the seconder on that motion?
The second?
Seconder.
Councillor Longmire.
Thank you.
Seeing no more comments, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
7.11, Bridgetown LUB amendment application for CMH to amend by rezoning 4 PIDs, first reading. That municipal council give the first reading to amend the Bridgetown land use bylaw, LUB, by rezoning the land identified as parcels PID number 051-44787, 051-44795, 0511-4293, and 0500-5475 in the community of Bridgetown from institutional I-1 and open space O1 zones to residential multiple R2 zone, as well as the removal of Part 9.3.2D regarding the location of multi-unit buildings on local street. The aforementioned text and map amendments will permit the proposed redevelopment plan submitted by CMH for the former school to a multi-unit residential development consisting of 16 two-bedroom apartments and 3 single-unit residential dwellings pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Second, Councillor Hudson seconds. Discussion? And now I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.12, Audit Committee Letter, June 8, 2022. That Municipal Council authorized 2 members of the Audit Committee, being the Warden and the Chair, to sign the June 8, 2022 Audit Committee Report in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.13, Audit Representation Letter, June 8, 2022. That Municipal Council authorized the Warden and the CAO to sign the Audit Representation Letter dated June 8, 2022, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded. Councillor Morrison seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
7.14, MCOA Consolidated Financial Statements to March 31st, 2021. That Municipal Council approved the draft MCOA Municipality of the County of Annapolis financial statements to March 31st, 2021 as prepared and amended by Kenton Duffett, and to authorize the Warden and the CAO to sign the document for submission to the Minister in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Councillor Morrison. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Now we move to 7:15, and distributed at the beginning of the meeting was a report with respect to the Middleton Railway Museum Society and their community grant application. I hope the councillors, have you all had a chance to review this? This was circulated before the meeting. If not, I'll give a minute. I'd like to see some nods, otherwise I'll wait a minute to make sure everybody's read it.
Read it.
Okay, good. All right, then I'll ask the deputy warden, there is a recommendation from staff to move the motion.
Yes, sir. Recommendation that municipal council approve a grant in the amount of $25,000 to the Middleton Railway Museum Society from the Capital Projects Assistance Program, large capital pledge grants in accordance with AM-1.4.9 Community Grants Policy, pending confirmation of other required funding for the project.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Redden seconds. Discussion? Councillor Connell.
I'm having a little issue with this recommendation, mainly because there's other requests that are coming forth from other jurisdictions other than our own. And I personally would like this to be sent and brought back as a package so we know what has been requested from the town of Annapolis, what is requested from the Morristown Village area. Mainly because we only give $2,400 to the community homes within our own county. And I understand this is a big capital project, and I understand that hopefully when people come to the museum, the Railway Museum, that they'll adventure into our county and explore what's in our county too. But I just don't like saying one out and voting on that, and then all of a sudden next month we get 2 requests from the town of Annapolis Royal, we get a request from Lawrencetown at the exhibition grounds, and maybe more from the town of Middleton. So I would rather see them all come at once so we can see what we're going to dole out for funding, because I would like to think that we would hold some funding out of our funding assistance program for county-wide initiatives that will come during the season, because I know there's more coming even next month from out in our rural area of the county. So I won't be voting for this, or I'll be putting the motion on the floor to send this back and bring it back with all the other proposals.
Okay, if I could make 2 comments. One is that unfortunately Councillor Sheridan's not here today, and it came on, as you know, I don't like matters coming on late like this, but she indicated at the Committee of the Whole meeting that there was some urgency. To be frank, I don't recall today what she said about the urgency, but that's why we brought it forward. So that's the first comment. Secondly, would you like to move a motion to table or adjourn to the next meeting, or are you just going to vote against?
Well, I'd like to hear what the other councillors have to say.
I'll come back
to me, because I honestly think that we should have a big picture of what we're spending in the other municipalities within our county. The same as we do with our grants to our citizens and our non-for-profits. We look at them all and we try to dole out the money so it's a reasonable offer to everybody. So I appreciate if you came back.
I will. I'll invite other councillors and I'll come back to you before we conclude. Councillor Proud.
Thank you. I have the same concerns as Councillor Connell. I suspect quite strongly that we'll have a number of community halls still to come in and offer or put forward requests to help. We've done a few, and as Councillor Connell has mentioned, we have a limit of 2,400 for the larger halls and so on. And this is a big chunk of funding to come from us, and I don't like to see it all go out at one time. And I see the town of Middleton was asked for 10,000 and have confirmed a contribution of 3,000. For us to come forward with 25,000 at this point in time may leave us short for other asks that may be coming in. I don't disagree that it's a worthwhile museum, and as Councillor Connell has said, people come to see that and will stay and hopefully see a lot of our county and what we have to offer. But it's a large chunk to put forward in one fell swoop with little notice, in my opinion.
If I could take the opportunity just to respond to what you said. This is, as it says, it's a large capital pledge grant. It's not a community hall grant.
But I mean, we have so much money.
Yeah.
Your point is well taken. I realize it's not the same pot, but.
And there are large capital grants, and if I remember correctly, there are smaller capital grants in different categories, right? There's large and small, and this is under the large. So, there's the community hall grants, which are $2,400, as you say. So I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, that's right.
Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. My understanding when speaking to Councillor Sheridan and the ask that was from us is because the president of the railroad or chairperson, they had a time-sensitive period that they had to put in. So I see that was said, 10,000 was asked for Middleton and they provided with 3,000. So I think to put it onto another month would be not helping them at all. So I would be in favor to possibly lower from the 25,000, which is a huge number, to a more reasonable number that we can all live with. To help them out in their grants and their applications and their going forwards with their vision and mission on how they wish to improve the location. So,
Are you going to move an amendment to the amount?
I could.
It's up to you what you want to do.
What if we amended the number to be 5,000 instead of 25?
So you're moving an amendment to the motion that it read 5,000 instead of 25,000?
Yes.
Is that correct? Is there a seconder to that motion?
I'll second it, do the motion.
The motion for the amendment has been seconded by Councillor Prout. Discussion on the amendment? Councillor Morrison.
Thank you. Could I inquire that if this amendment proceeds, that does not negate any other motion that may then be made concerning the project as a whole?
Correct. I've indicated to Councillor Connell that I will come back to him before we close the discussion. This is only an amendment to the motion on the floor, to which he could speak if he wanted to, of course.
I'll support that motion.
You support the amendment, you mean? Yeah. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I agree with Councillor Connell's, a point there. We should be waiting until we find out what other big grants and one thing and another, maybe other special projects coming. They've asked for $25,000. I think that's probably cutting back a little too much. I mean, this is a big project. It'll be good for not just the county, but I mean, as well. So if I could amend Councillor LeBlanc's motion to $10,000, I would like to do that.
I think I'd rather have a vote on this one, and then depending how it goes, then we go back to the motion perhaps that's amended, and then you can amend it further if you would like to. I think rather than get confused in amendments and amendments. So right now the amendment on the floor is to move it to $5,000. Any other discussion with respect to the amendment? Councillor Redden?
No, I think my comment's more germane to the initial motion as well.
Okay. Councillor Bartow?
I guess where we contribute to halls in our own county, or this is in a different municipality, but it is in a situation where they can draw into the county. So there's a bit of a gray area there. But our maximum to the community halls was $2,400. the 25,000, I couldn't support that. I probably would lean towards supporting the amendment. I just think that this was kind of dropped on us, and the paperwork I first to read was only here when we got to the meeting. It's kind of short notice for us to digest that, completely. It would have been nice to have that in our package at least ahead of time. So it's just being caught off guard that we have to, think on our feet, which isn't impossible. So, I guess that's all I have to say at this point.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, if you take the chair for a minute, I'd like to speak to the amendment.
Yes, sir.
I'll be voting against the amendment, although I certainly share a number of the concerns that have been expressed around the table. The reason I'll be voting against it, and I appreciate this is a large grant, but staff have recommended it. That's important to me. They look at the amount of money in the large capital grant category. They've indicated that there still is money left, a fair amount of money left. So they've looked at it and recommended it. Secondly, I think that a project like this would be very important to the county. It could be a draw for people to come to our county. And I note that in the motion, it's pending confirmation of other required funding for the project. So we're not giving the 25,000. That's what we do right away. It's the total project is about 250,000, if I remember correctly. When I read the memo, all the money that they've got so far doesn't add up to that amount. So if they don't get the full amount, this motion means we wouldn't be paying that money. So for all of those reasons, although I really do sympathize and agree to a large degree with what the other councillors have said, I think I'll vote against the amendment. I'll take the chair back. Any other comments on the amendment? If not, I'll call for the vote. The amendment is to move the $25,000 figure in the motion to $5,000. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed say nay and raise your hand.
Nay.
Nay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to 4, the amendment fails. So we're back to the motion as originally set out. Further discussion before I come back to Councillor Connell? Councillor Redden.
I'm sort of back and forth on the amount, although I kind of think a little lower, especially with I see that the town of Middleton's not giving really firm support to it. And I understand it's outside of our jurisdiction, and various councils have made comments about this. But I also see it as the warden has pointed out, and that it's kind of I do see it as an attraction, and that it is will bring people from distance. My mother described my youth as train crazy. Sorry, my mother described my youth as me being train crazy. It's not gone away. I certainly look forward and have driven by a couple of times wistfully looking at the museum. But the other thing I have is a question of information. I got an email from the society a while back now, and they listed several repairs they had planned on doing to the building. And I was wondering, we don't have a detailed plan of their budget here. It's just the overall cost. If I recall from our policy, we are supposed to have some detail as to how they spend the funds. And I was wondering if our staff has some more detail on how they plan on spending the funds.
Yes.
They provided a quote from a local contractor for the for over $260,000. Most of the work detailed out in the quote was construction and labor for the actual buildings themselves and structures for the oak buildings. And I do have the quote here if you'd like to look at it. However, it was noted that the quote they provided was a year old.
That's right.
Yeah. In this day and age, that's an issue.
Yeah, it was a bit of an afterthought after I prepared that for you, so now my opportunity, I could mention it. And it wouldn't be a problem to get some more details if that's what council wanted.
Thank you. Are you finished, Councilor Redding?
Well, on that note, I am strongly against it. Your old quote is, no, I mean, just from my understanding, legally sort of functionally useless. It gives you an idea what you're paying, but in this day and age with the painful cost increases I see at the hardware store, yeah, I would like to see this resubmitted with more relevant information.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor LeBlanc?
I would just like to know if Nancy knows about how this will affect their grant, or if it affects their grant, which is what we were told it would.
I see staff's going to respond
I
to
do
that.
have, their funding announcement for the $195,000 has not been made public yet, but it is federal funding. I did get an email from the funding agency confirming that they have been approved for the grant pending that they can raise the remaining $60,000. And I do not have a copy of that funding application. But I did receive an email from a representative from that federal department saying that they were approved pending they can fundraise the remaining balance of the project.
Is there a date for that?
There was no date given on the email.
Thank you. Councilor Hudson?
Yeah, just my own clarification. The Capital Projects Assistance Program, is there an actual fund or a budgeted amount for this program? And if so, what is it?
Go ahead, Ms. Campbell.
It is all of the budget as community grants.
Okay.
So it's not segregated into large capital, community halls. It's not segregated in any way like that.
Okay.
And if I could also add, because this just got brought up last Tuesday, sometimes it's challenging to get the information when you only have a 2 or 3 day turnaround. And Nancy certainly received a lot of information from the organization, but would have asked more questions had we had more time.
Yes.
Again, just a follow-up to that. What was the amount of the grants that was approved for the total?
It's on your paper.
No, not for.
You mean so far this fiscal year?
Yeah, off the total.
Isn't there a reference here to
It's right there on
the we spent so many dollars under the for the halls, right?
Well, and other things. There were a series of. There was a small capital grant to the Margarettsville Hall. It was about 11,000 or so.
Oh, okay.
But are you asking for the amount that we've spent so far this fiscal year? Is that what you're looking for?
Basically, yeah.
Does anybody on staff?
It's right here.
Yeah,
it's right there.
It's right here. Under financial implications.
It doesn't itemize it.
Oh, okay.
No, but
Okay, sorry, I missed that. So it says,
That gives what's remaining in the budget. I thought Councilor Hudson was looking for how much.
It's 106,000 remaining in the budget.
You subtract 106 from 200.
Yeah. And I guess
I'm with you. Yeah.
And I guess I just wonder what new grants that or requests that we may be presented with. And I guess the one that immediately comes to my mind, which may fall under this, is the end-of-life center at Cornwall Park. That could be a substantial request as well. Well, I guess I am agreeing with Councillor Connell that, we should look at it as best we can. What our total grants under this program will be, and look at it that way.
I have Councillor Morrison and then Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. We every once in a while have this same debate as to whether we should deny or reduce an amount requested in order to save some money for later applicants. And so we had this. The second thing is, this council is very positive toward contributing to community efforts and activities. We really are. And I would like to think that the fact that we have a positive reputation for acting positively would encourage those who are going to come to us for money to do it in a timely fashion, so that we are not held hostage to something that comes in with what some have said is incomplete information. I understand that there are other grant applications waiting in the wings, and we will deal with those, but I believe we ought to deal with this one on its own, and I understand that one of my colleagues may make a motion affecting how we proceed with this, and I await that. Thank you.
I have Councillor Longmire next.
Thank you. So much has been chatted around this room with regards to this request, and I couldn't agree more with Councillor Connell and Councillor Redden. And as Councillor Hudson had asked basically some of the questions I had wanted to ask, so I got some clarification. Finishing that, Councillor Morrison spoke about moving forward and in a positive fashion and not being held hostage to, what is remaining in the account and how we allot and whatnot. I think it does come down to requiring more information, and I do thank Nancy and Don Campbell. This was given to us without a bulky amount of information, so I think bringing it back with more detail will help us. But it is a significant request, but at the same time, it is a significant opportunity as well to help them continue to move forward. Thank you.
Councillor Redden?
Yes. So I don't want to take back. I'm getting back on the support this going forward. In part from what Councillor LeBlanc has brought forward, but also some other thoughts I've had here. From last year, we had a significant carry forward from our grants that we did not spend. It was carried forward and allocated to this year. That's why we're at 200 for our budgeted number, as opposed to the 150 or 60 or something that, if you take the percentage from our policy, it works out to. The other thing is, from our policy, we are supposed to have allocated essentially with our initial budgeting, and I don't remember the exact percentage here, so maybe staff can help me out. It's 60 or 70% of our grant funds very early on in the fiscal year, with the rest to be allocated around the rest of the year. And if I'm reading our financial implications correctly, even if we allocate this 25,000, we're still not at 50%. So we're, by policy, supposed to have allocated more grant funding by now. So we talked about, should we keep some in reserve? We're supposed to have allocated it. We shouldn't be thinking, I say, our policy would kind of imply that we should have allocated more funding by this point, and that we shouldn't be thinking about keeping that funding in reserve for possible other people coming forward with their applications. I think that was an okay sentence. My other thought is here, the $65,000 that they are trying to raise on their own, apart from the $195 they have confirmed from what I understand is a federal source. We might want to really get on board with that, because coming out of the back end of COVID, and if you look at the budget outlays of the federal government projected for the next 5 years, there might be some significant cuts, especially if we see a regime change at the federal level. And we may be looking at a couple of very dry years coming for federal grants. And we should maybe do our best to try and capitalize on that as well. That's pretty high level, like, grand scheme to look at things, but yeah, it's that's my thoughts, and that's quite a turnaround in my opinion in 5 minutes, but that's where I think.
Anybody else before I come back to Councillor Connell? I don't see anybody. Councillor Connell, would you like to put your thoughts on the table?
I'd like to remark on talking to our CAO, because I knew that some grants hadn't been awarded. I'm on the understanding is that he held back, pulled out all the grants that were not within our county. So they're already been submitted. And that's why I suggest putting this off till next month when we get all of them. It's a worthwhile project to me, but I don't want to commit to 25,000 and then all of a sudden get here next month and we got 6 other additional grant requests, and all of a sudden we're saying, well, we better cut that one back to 10, we better cut that one back to 15, and all of a sudden we've given a project in the town of Middleton full request. I would rather see which ones he pulled out, and which I was on the understanding they are coming to us next month. So that would give a month for staff to contact the Railway Museum Society back and see about a new proposal or a new updated project cost. And any other questions that staff had to ask the museum, I think it would give that time. Where there's no mention of a time frame of when if they've already been approved, they're waiting for confirmation. I know that they've sent letters out to all the businesses in the town of Middleton asking for donations. So they're going to fundraise $40,000. Even if we give them $25,000, they're not going to fundraise that in a month. Unless they get somebody that's going to donate the $40,000, because talking to businesses around the town and being involved in the businesses around the town, everyone's getting named. Everyone's getting numerous. Every week we get asked for donations. There has to be a limit. Even when I'm asking for donations for the bail and jail, I'm getting the same thing as that. Oh, I can give you this much because we've already handed out this much. Every not-for-profit group is on a roll. Every not-for-profit group is asking for donations. So it's going to be a struggling year because everyone's asking. Because everyone's on the move of trying to do things they haven't done for 2.5 years. So my recommendation is to amend the motion to...
Councillor Connell, if I might, I believe you're able to make a motion to adjourn this motion to, say, the next committee of the whole without having the vote taken on this motion.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I'd like to do.
If that's what you'd like to do, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this to the committee of the whole next month.
Yes, that's what I'd like to.
And is there a seconder to that? The deputy warden seconds it. Discussion on the, I have a cheat sheet. I don't know if we have discussion on such a motion. Let me just check. Hold on.
I did throw something together if you'd like me to read that.
Just hold on a second. Sorry for the delay, but I just want to get this straight.
The blue file. Blue file.
So this is a debatable motion, and it's a majority vote. So the motion is to postpone this until the next committee of the whole meeting. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Bardo?
I think the same as any other motions or requests that come to council. This is very late that it was on the agenda, and it was even later that the backup information wasn't provided ahead of time. Generally, motions go to committee of the whole for discussion, and we've got time to think about it. You know, whether it's legitimate, worthwhile or not, you know, I think the motions, and I think it's an important thing that they're trying to do, but it's a last minute thrown at us that we haven't had time for due consideration, and for no other reason, I would vote to defer.
You're in favor. Yeah. Any other discussion on the motion, Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. I guess from all this discussion was the last piece that I received from Councillor Connell was the fact that we will be receiving a whole bunch of these from different municipalities in July, which was a piece of information that I didn't know of. So knowing that piece of information, it would fit in that hopefully it doesn't affect their funding. I would sit with quite easily to have it referred to us back in July with all the other grants from the other municipalities that are out there that are asking for different things. So for that bit, I can understand it now.
I'm not going to get into the debate other than to state my position. I'll be in favor of the motion, although I probably would vote in favor of the $25,000 grant. I agree with the comments from Councilor Bartow that the way this came to council, there's a few too many unanswered questions, and I guess I'm prepared to take the risk that the urgency that was expressed by Councilor Sheridan is something that can be dealt with, and so I'll be in favor of the motion. Anybody else? If not, I'll call for the vote on the motion to adjourn this matter until the July Committee of the Whole. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Council. What time is it? 11:40. The next is 8.0 New Business Fire Services Committee. Let me just introduce this briefly.
My apologies, Warren.
Yeah.
Just before you move on to the next thing, as part of 7.11, we do need council to set the date for the public hearing for the amendment to the Bridgetown LUB.
Yes.
I tried to kind of earlier that Deputy Warden was on a roll.
Okay, tell me again, Mr. Lamb, what it is you want?
Yes, we just need council to approve for the public hearing to take place before or during the next council meeting, set on July 19th for the public hearing before the second reading of the amendment to the Bridgetown LUB.
You're suggesting, are you asking us to fix the date now?
Yes, I'm suggesting that, but that is a date that could be discussed. I think from my understanding that has been when it's been held in the past.
That's the council meeting.
Yes. It's been held during that 11 o'clock in the past is when those public hearings have been held.
Okay. So I'll take it that this is a separate motion coming to the floor simply to fix the date of the, is it the public hearing?
Public hearing.
For the
To set the date.
Bridgetown former school project.
Yes.
To July the 19th. That's the motion. Is there, would someone like to move that? Councilor Longmire, you'll move it. Councilor Morrison seconds. Discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Councilor Darrell.
I'm not sure about anybody else feels, but with the air conditioning, if I feel a little chilly, is it possible to cut some of that air back? Only if everybody else agrees. Thank you.
Easy as that, David. Can I see that tool you got there?
He's not gonna give it to you.
You see that covered over the.
That was a typical example of a point of privilege.
Just
That's
pointing
a point of
that out.
privilege.
That's what it is. If there's something going on that's bothering you, that's a point of privilege, as opposed to a point of order, which is different. Okay, we're down to 8.0. If I could just, I have a motion here that I'm going to read. I'll ask someone then to move it and put it on the table. But before I do this, because it's coming up at the last minute, let me set the stage. I see Councilor Morrison has left.
He's not far. You want me to reel him in?
I saw him just sticking his head in. Is he?
Oh, he's chatting.
As I mentioned at the beginning, all council members will recall the letter from Mr. Brown, the Deputy Fire Chief in Bridgetown, asking for a meeting with staff. And so, as a result of that request, there was a meeting last evening at our offices in Lawrencetown with Councillors Hudson and Redden, who are the two councillors on the Fire Services Committee, and myself as an ex officio member, and 3 members from the county, from the Fire Services Association, which is the association of the fire chiefs of the 11 fire departments, plus staff being Ms. Campbell was there, and Ms. Mason and Mr. Dick. So we were all there last night, and we had a very good discussion. And we identified a number of things that need to be discussed between the Fire Services Association and the Fire Services Committee. However, the committee hasn't really met yet. We don't have a chair, or it doesn't have a chair, because the committee, under our policy, shall consider such matters as are referred to the committee by council. Council hasn't referred any matters to that committee, so the committee hasn't met. So the purpose of this little motion is just a motion from council to refer to the committee all the matters that were discussed last night. And so with that intro, I'm going to read the motion and ask somebody to move it and second it for discussion. The motion is that the municipal council refers to the Fire Services Committee all matters as discussed with representatives of the Fire Services Association at an informal meeting on June 20th for consideration and recommendation back to Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Bardo, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Councillor Connell.
I wasn't that impressed with the letter I got. For one thing, we've had a busy 2 years. We try to pay attention to everything within our communities, and the fire services was not left out. I found the letter aggressive and uncalled for. We talked about a fire service review several months ago, and we've had contact with individuals. I know I have myself with other fire chiefs, and I think everyone, or I thought that they knew how busy of an agenda we've had in the past 2 years. I would like to know if council is planning on going forward with a fire service review, and if we are, then I feel that we're putting the cart ahead of the horse again. We're being led by the fire services on some of their way of thinking and stuff with that, like that, without actually going through a review. So that's my own personal view, is that I just would like to have the answer from, if we plan on doing a fire service review, and approximately when that was gonna.
Mr. Campbell, can you respond to Councillor Connor?
We did not specifically last night talk about a review. We did revisit the top 10 list that fire services had developed when meetings were taking place regularly before COVID occurred. And the consensus seemed to be to deal with the top 10, update and revisit where we were as a means of bringing recommendations back from that committee to a committee of the whole for how to proceed on future discussions. So we didn't specifically talk about a fire services review. I think a discussion about whether to have a fire services review might be based on those top 10 issues being addressed. It might not be necessary. So, for example, discussing funding with them last night and bringing them into the loop as to what increases were provided in this current fiscal year gave them a greater understanding of how the municipality was looking at funding fire services in the future. And as usual, there was a lot of discussion about types of services that fire departments carry out versus what the basis for the county's funding provision is. So that's kind of where we landed last night.
But I'm not asking. I'm not asking if fire services ask for a review.
Yeah.
This council had talked about a service review.
But is staff planning to conduct a fire services review? Staff?
Not unless it's council's wish to do so. No.
The council hasn't yet directed staff to do that?
Correct.
We talked about it.
We talked about it. There hasn't been direction.
And that was my concern, is that if we have it in the works, then why are we talking to the fire departments at this point when we haven't even discussed how we're going to go forward with the review?
If I could respond to that, Councillor Connell, you'll know that I indicated last night was an informal meeting, because the problem we have is that the Fire Services Association, there's no formal way for it to talk to the committee until the committee is authorized by council to talk to them. So they can't even really talk about all these other things other than what might be involved in the review, assuming there is a fire services review. And I have to confess, I was under the assumption there was going to be a fire services review. I thought so.
That's exactly.
And maybe we could come back to council to confirm that. But this is simply so that the Fire Services Association can ring up the committee, who I understand used to meet every 2 months, and at least have somebody to talk to, because right now they don't unless council authorizes the committee to meet with the Fire Services Association to discuss their issues. So that's where we are. Now, Councillor Redden was there. Do you want to say something?
I was just going to say the meeting was definitely not in the tone of the letter, and although the tone of the letter was quite strong, I don't necessarily think it was unjustified over the couple of months we've had with them. It was definitely strong, but they've been attempting to get a meeting for quite some time, and I dropped the ball on that at least once, and that's I owned up to that and took that to them. They were also very willing to acknowledge the workload that council has had on its plate, and so they understand that. I think they very much felt left. That association was formed essentially to talk to council, is my understanding from the background I've had from them. And so they've got this association they've had for 2 years who was formed to talk to council and then just had nobody to talk to. So they found that quite frustrating. They certainly have some things they would like to see done, things information and things they would like to push up through council, absolutely, as Councillor Connell has expressed. But they also recognize that it's council's decisions, council's authority, it's council's everything. So they get that. And they also talk about how they're an association of chiefs and they don't have any authority to dictate how fire departments operate. So they're kind of a little bit of a man in the middle going, they can't say, oh, that fire department does this or that fire department does that. They're kind of an information conduit and that's it. Which, as 3 volunteers who are in 3 busy departments, their time is at a premium. And they just didn't want to have it wasted by being in an association that doesn't do anything or get heard by anyone.
Anybody else want to speak to the motion? Councillor Bardo?
I'll start off with saying I didn't really like the way the letter was presented. It was pretty strong worded. Seeing as how it never got to committee hall, somebody had submitted a request to be on the agenda that we could have discussed it. It kind of was I'm not sure how the feelings got so strong and that they were ignored up to this point. But I agree that the policy should be reviewed. We should update, and because it's been a while, I think, since it's been looked at. About putting the cart in the head of the horse, I don't know that that's what's happening here, or it would be good to have input from those individuals and those fire departments, that society, to incorporate it and have some more meat to discuss when staff reviews the policy. So I think that the getting that committee together at this point is probably important because it's been a while since they have met, and I think that everybody's feeling the need. So I would say yes, but subject to what this meeting is going to be all about. It's more of a discussion to present to council, I assume. So if that's the case, there's a lot in the fire service. Being a firefighter for years, I joined back, 45 years ago. I don't know, it's been a long time. I'm just a veteran member now, but I still have sympathies in that direction because I know what it takes to run a fire department. I know what it takes to get out there in the middle of the night and putting your life on the line. I've been through all that. There's a lot to the fire service that they don't, I think everybody appreciates them, but they don't get as much credit as they should in thanks for what they do. And to be a large part of the process to get up to date on things, I think that we need to give them that respect. So this is what I'll have to say.
Deputy Warden?
Thank you. Well, the letter certainly got our attention, didn't it? Got our attention. A fire chief had contacted me a month previous of that, saying that they couldn't get it. They were getting no response from the administration and trying to, having any luck getting a meeting. This was, a month before the letter ever came through. To quote our former CAO, our fire services in Annapolis County are a really good deal for the county citizens, a really good deal. And now the fire services review, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to go out and we're going to review all our fire services, and now we're going to say we're going to get rid of Fort Lorne, we're going to go to one between Middleton and Wilmot? Are we going to are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Are we going to review all our fire services and make changes? I remember, maybe some of you might remember about 15 years ago, they talked about that, and they were going to hire one fire chief for the entire county, and they were going to send fire trucks from here because they didn't need them up the line because, they had a higher, denser center, and they were going to get left with some of the older deer in around here. That didn't go over well with our fire services. We talk nowadays about volunteers. We have to realize all of these firemen are volunteers. As a counselor and I were just talking, it costs money to be a volunteer nowadays. It costs money, every time you travel to your destination to volunteer, you're taking out of your back pocket. So, I don't know quite what this all means, to tell you the truth, what they're talking about. But I do know that we as a council should pay attention when our volunteers, especially our volunteer firefighters, have issue with something. We should be paying attention, listening to them, and trying to work it out. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Me? No, I think it's been covered, but I think we should read the motion again and vote on it.
I will. The motion is simply to refer to the Fire Services Committee, which are Councillors Hudson and Redden.
Exactly.
All matters discussed last night, and to report back.
Right.
That's
the motion.
That's the motion. Just to talk. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. I would just like to say that reading that letter that was given to us, yes, it appeared harsh, but it also came from a very urgent place, I suspect. And so I will cut him some slack for that. Also, I'd like to go back and just say, we do need to do this review. It's absolutely necessary. COVID has put a halt on so much, and there's lots of details that need to be smoothed out and some new addressed, and we need to do that. It is an absolute imperative service. We cannot afford to delay on changes or needs. These are not paid individuals. These are our volunteers, and they work endless in our communities. I can't say enough about what they do and give. I'm not out there front line with them. I just know that we cannot live without them. It's what keeps our insurances down. It does so much. It holds our communities together. Being not paid and being volunteer means, I don't even know if there's a definition to that level of volunteerism. And so I would go back and look at that letter and say, from that person's heart, they were urgent. And so I just would like to see us do this review and be serious with it.
Just so you know, the review is here.
Yes.
The meeting between the committee and the Fire Services Association is over here. They just want somebody to talk to.
Sure.
So the committee will talk to them. Great. And there was a list of 10 things that have been around for years. But if we want to do a fire services review, it sounds like we need a motion from council.
Exactly.
And I'd be quite happy to have, I think, for staff to get the message, we'd like that brought back, because I see a sense around the room that we'd like that to happen. So if it could come from staff. But all we're doing is the fire chiefs want somebody to talk to, and the committee can only talk if there's something referred. So the motion is purposely vaguely worded that the committee can discuss the things that were talked about last night, which was most everything, and if something comes out of that, it'll come back here. That's just where we are. Councillor Connell?
Yes, and I definitely would like to see the committees get on the go. We're talking about how important the fire services are. My whole point is that we've been very busy for 2.5 years, and we know that we have to get on with the business of the county. We also have several citizens that have asked, have we talked to the RCMP? And we keep delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. We've never had a police advisory board meeting in 2.5 years. And to me, that's just as important as the fire services. So we have to get on the move because our citizens have got questions on all kinds of topics. So it has nothing to do with one's more important than the other. It is, the fact is that we haven't got away from what we were handed when we came here as councillors, but now we got to move forward because times are opening up and people are asking questions, that's all.
Let me just say that during the meeting last night, Michael Lockett, who's the Deputy Chief in Lawrencetown, acknowledged to all of us that when we started this council 1.5 years ago, we had a lot on our plate. And he acknowledged that we had a lot of things to deal with. But hopefully most of that is behind us and we're moving forward on the stuff we have to do. So unless there's something else, I think since the motion wasn't distributed in writing, I'm going to read it again before we hold the vote. It's simply that Municipal Council refers to the Fire Services Committee all matters as discussed with representatives of the Fire Services Association at an informal meeting on June 20th for consideration and recommendation back to Committee of the Whole. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Did you want to do referral to staff?
Pardon me?
Did you wish you were referred to staff or fire services review if you wish?
I'd like to, but I don't know if that's appropriate for the, if we do, pardon me, is that appropriate? It's different from the motion on the floor that we instruct staff to proceed with fire. Do you want to do that now? Is there a sense?
Should we wait for that until next month, until we hear back?
Oh, I don't anticipate we're going to hear back from the Fire Services Committee for months and months and months. All we've done is told them they can talk. Okay. And from the number of things on the table I heard last night, they could be talking for a year. So I don't know when that's coming back. You see, that's over here. The Fire Services Review is the kinds of things that, was it you, Councillor Morrison, or you, Deputy Warden, raised about whatever we're going to do? I mean, I think everything's on the table on a review, really. Do I get a sense that we want to have kind of an ad hoc motion just asking council to bring back? See, let me just slow down here.
Yeah.
Let me just slow down. I think I'd like to leave, Ms. Campbell just asked if we wanted to have a formal meeting of council for the fire review. I think there's a feeling that we'd like to. I think I'd like to leave it with staff. They get the message, hopefully. It's on their agenda. I know that Mr. Dick isn't here. He had a dentist appointment today. But Ms. Campbell is here, and we would look forward to a recommendation from staff next meeting, if possible, with respect to a fire services review. I'd rather leave it at that rather than make a motion that was a little rough at the moment. So hopefully it'll come back anyway. Okay, we only have one other matter on the agenda, and it's the in-camera matter. I think it might take about an hour max, maybe half an hour. It's 12:06. We could break for lunch and come back in an hour and a half, or we could do this now and break for the day. What's the will of council? Do you want to take a 5-minute break before we come back and finish it off?
Yeah,
that'll good. Okay, I'll declare a recess for 5 minutes. We'll come back at We've returned now after the in-camera session of the meeting today, and I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.